I don't know where you've been, but you're gonna respect this courtroom. My life has proven that it's not about where you come from, it's about where you're going. From a jailed youth who had my record expunged to becoming the youngest judge elected.
The Honorable Judge Greg Mathis presiding.
In just 15 years. Ma'am, let me know when you want to go to rehab. Otherwise, I think you're a crackhead.
Absolutely not.
My goal is to inspire others to overcome their obstacles. You don't need him and his little raggedy roommate.
Thank you.
All while having a little fun on Mathis Court. You look like you're ready to lie right the first word out your mouth. This is Mathis Court with Judge Mathis.
Miles Whitaker suing Danielle Cruz in the amount of $5,000.
All rise. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Greg Mathis presiding. You may now be seated.
Mr. Whitaker claims the defendant hired him to write a memoir of her colorful life as a high-class escort, and says after he finished the first draft, Ms. Cruz refused to pay him.
State your name,
Miles Whitaker.
ma'am.
Danielle Cruz.
All right. And you're suing the defendant today for $5,000, alleging she owes you this money for failing to give you a complete memoir draft.
I wrote the contract was for the completion of a first draft for a memoir that I was begged to write. It was paid initial $1,000. The whole thing was supposed to be $6,000. Upon the completion of the first draft, I was going to get $5,000. She did not like the tone.
What experience you have in literacy?
I'm a professional writer. I've ghostwritten. I'm a ghostwriter, so I ghostwrite. She begged me to tell the story. I found it compelling, and I did it.
What did you find compelling about her story?
Well, she was a high-class escort. She'd been around the world, partied with very rich and famous men, been in some circumstances. It was a story that needed to be told. It was a very entertaining story, and it's a redemptive story. And I thought, well, you know what?
What's the redemptive part? That's what I want to hear.
Now she owns her own yoga studio. She has a 6-year-old daughter. She's in a fresh relationship. When she was telling me everything was going on, it was enthusiasm.
No, I'm referring to what she's done to redeem herself from a life of crime.
Oh, I mean, I think she's probably a halfway decent mother. I mean, but she doesn't pay her bills.
Halfway decent. That's what I'm saying. You're not telling me anything redemptive. Let me tell you what redeem. Redemptive mean you redeem yourself from the bad things, or you're working toward redeeming yourself from the destructive things you've done primarily to others.
Right. Well, she's a business owner now, a small business owner.
Okay, that doesn't redeem.
A pillar of her community.
That doesn't help people without pay.
That's very true.
She want money for that. All right, so you can't give me what she's doing to help society to redeem herself from the crimes she has committed against these men's wives. You should start an honest wives club or honest husbands club or something.
Maybe.
Start doing something, go out. Does the book say that? Dedicated to the women who men are cheating with escorts, and tell them how to catch them. Did you put that in the book? Now that's redemption. Did you put that in there? Did you say this is how you catch your husband? That's redemption.
Right.
Talking about what you've done for yourself. What you doing to redeem yourself from a life of crime?
Fair question, Your Honor. We do outreach programs for inner city children that are affected by poverty and homelessness.
There you go.
And so that ties into my my upbringing. I got into it at a young age. I dropped out of high school, and 15 years old, I had a long history of foster care in and out of homes. At a young age, sexual abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, and I did, of course, get into this kind of life of what we've a little bit touched on today. And I
You didn't have grandparents?
worked my way up the ladder.
Did you have grandparents?
I never knew them. So I did have...
Aunts, uncles, were they around?
So there were some, but they were kind of here and there, sparse. And I did have some times of joy and love, and maybe besides the abuse and harm, there were moments that I had fun siblings for a little bit here and there, and fun situations maybe. But
well, you got a good education from somewhere, and someone had to be behind that.
Right, and a lot of times, so the foster system would
Who did that? Who made sure you got a good education?
That's the thing. So technically, the state that I grew up in, because they would remove me and put me in a new home. So I was never in that much of a stable situation, but it was always in the same state. I guess you could say taxpayers or the state took care of my education, because even with my track record of being a bit rebellious and getting kicked out and detention and low grades and all that, I eventually, once I got into the restaurant industry where I met the girls, where I got into the sex work, if you will, I did that from 15, dropped out of high school, all the way through 25, 26. 25 is when I really tried to get out, and then 26 is when I actually did for good and washed my hands of those people. It was not easy getting out of that, I will say. And so I'm very grateful and blessed to say that I did. But part of my efforts in writing this book, and I do appreciate
writing the book.
Let's
Well,
get back to your story and how you recovered from that and what
Right.
did you do?
Well, I got into, and you alluded a bit to this, but I opened a yoga studio, and I got really into meditation, breath work, journaling, kundalini, all sorts of
Where'd you
Reiki.
get the money to open the
When did I?
yoga
Well,
studio?
I'm 28 now, so I got out officially at 26, so it's only been a couple years. So I understand and I recognize, and very early on in my healing journey, so to speak, and with this young daughter to support, and I do have, you know, this really lovely, beautiful new love relationship in my life, and I'm trying
I'm saying, how did you get the money to start a yoga studio?
I got a grant. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And I applied for that.
Coming up on Mathis Court with Judge Mathis.
I'm more impressed with what you're doing to help people after you've recovered from what you've done to people. You did something to the wives and children. We don't think that far out. I say we because I was a criminal.
If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878.
You're watching Mathis Court with Judge Mathis. This is Mathis Court with Judge Mathis.
Mathis Court is back with the case of Miles Whitaker, who is suing Danielle Cruz for breach of contract.
I'm more impressed not with you as much as the people who made sure you got a quality education. You speak here with a very good education background. You could not make the type of delivery you're making today without having been educated properly and in a good education in either private school or a great public school. Now tell us once again, you know, I'm more impressed with what you're doing to help people after you've recovered from what you've done to people. You did something to the wives and children. I know you don't think, you know, we don't think that far out. You know, I say we because I was a criminal.
Yeah.
And I didn't think beyond what I was doing to one person.
Right.
I didn't think how it affected the whole family.
Yeah.
And so I say that to say, you're working with children and otherwise, tell me what you're doing.
I've never been a criminal, Your Honor.
We're talking about talking to her.
Miles.
Just want to make this clear.
I am proud of you.
Okay.
Well, I mentioned the yoga studio. We do have discounts for members, and we have an inner city program where we reach out to kids who have been affected by food insecurity and poverty, and we have ways that we provide financially and also with food donations, and we collaborate with our local food bank to also orchestrate events where people can gather for volunteer events to help support that. But we also have one day a month at our yoga studio to cancel classes, but also to just go out into the city and work with these programs to deliver necessities to those in need.
Good, thank you. Give her a hand. And I say that because that's the most impressive part, how you've recovered and then given back to change other lives, because your life was changed some way or another, however it happened.
Exactly.
So you have a responsibility, in my opinion, to take your blessing and spread it to others. And that's the real success story. I'm not impressed when a person takes their dope money that they used to have and gets a business, get a hair salon, and hire 5 people and get out the dope game. And you said, I'm helping the community after you just killed 500,000 people in the country with overdoses or with destructive addictions. You got a beauty salon with 5 people and you helping the community. No, you helping 5 people. And that's the extent. I want to know what you're doing to redeem yourself from them hundreds of thousands of people that died from them kilos of cocaine, fentanyl, and heroin. And so You've told me what you're doing to recover from what you did. I think everybody knows that's my life. And in fact, I did a series for women, and each one of them had to do something to redeem themselves at the end. So they have to have done something for society, not just go get rich, turn your life around, get rich, take care of your family, and never repay any of those debts that you owe to society. That's what I want to applaud you for, and that's worthy of a memoir.
Thank you.
All right, make sure you have a big part of that in it, but you're done now, aren't you?
I am completely done. Not working. I don't want to hear about this lady's life again, Danny.
Not only are you done, I don't want you for the second draft. I'm going to move on with the book after this, but you will be effectively
replaced. And it better not sound like what I wrote.
I'm just hoping I can do it without legal counsel, because I honestly...
I spent a year listening to this woman's story, late night phone calls, multiple. It was fun. Initially, she had enthusiasm about telling her story.
About half a year, for being more realistic.
What happens is she got into a relationship.
From start to finish.
When it was read back to her, she saw how she looked, she got embarrassed, and she wanted to renegotiate or cancel the contract. When you tell a story about these wild parties, getting blackout drunk and doing all these drugs with these strange men in these groups in different places, and then you think, oh, I have people who come to my business, I have people in my neighborhood, they're going to look at me differently. You feel different. I think that's what happened. I have email evidence of us having the conversations and her saying, I love what you're doing. I love what you're writing. It's sounding good.
I wouldn't even necessarily latch on to the word embarrassed.
Let him finish.
Can I finish?
Yes.
Let him finish.
I need my money, Danny. You
finish talking to me.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I need to eat.
No, you were saying something. Before you turned to fuss at her, you were saying something meaningful. And now you've lost it.
I apologize, Your Honor. I know as I spent a year writing her story. You say you wrote the book. I wrote the book.
I think you were telling me something about perhaps she had cold feet.
Yeah, cold feet.
Because she didn't want you to...
when the mayor was held up to her, because I was basically transcribing. I was hearing the story, I was writing it down, adding details, adding the periods and the pluses and the...
If I may, I have audio evidence to directly contradict his claim that he's making right now.
What is the claim that you're trying to contradict?
It's an audio recording from one of our first months of talking about our brainstorming for the book.
Right.
And I would like to submit it to evidence. If we could go ahead and play it.
Coming up.
In sex work, I wasn't always necessarily treated respectfully. I mean, alcohol was almost always a part of the night.
So when you would black out, most of the time it'd be alcohol related.
You're watching Mathis Court with Judge Mathis. This is Mathis Court with Judge Mathis.
Mathis Court is back with the case of Miles Whitaker, who is suing Danielle Cruz for breach of contract.
The audio recording is simply just a maybe less than 2-minute clip of us talking, and it's like I'm saying one thing, but he's hearing another.
All right, go ahead and play it. Let's see if we have it.
Explain to me, you were talking about these parties. Like, what was the moment in one of those parties where, like, I've done too much, I'm not in control?
Oh, yeah.
And what were the drugs that you were on at the time when this was happening? Was it?
Yeah, great question. So I never did anything, super hard, at least that I was choosing for myself. So I always I was always more comfortable with kind of things that were from nature, like natural, such as, smoking weed, marijuana, grass, whatever you want to call it,
right.
Mary Jane. And sometimes those, in instances, would be laced with certain things that were more of a kind of like they would have a fruity name, but who knows what was actually in it.
And that's when the blackouts happened, and they had multiple blackouts.
Well, there were some drugs
Right.
in certain situations with groups of people
Right.
where you may not have known that you would be under the influence or taking something if it was laced in a food item
Right.
or if it was in some sort of drink that, because spiking drinks is a thing that
Do you
would
feel like
happen
that
very
happened to
often
you a
in the
lot?
circles that I would run in. Yes.
Oh, okay.
And so in sex work, as somebody who's done it for a long time, and I've gotten really good at it in terms of worked my way up the ladder to have really high paying top dollar clients all around the world, getting flown out to places. I mean, you name it, wine and dine, just the whole thing.
Coming up.
And your job is to absorb it and then get it
I know
down.
what my job is. I've done this many times
Right. Well,
for a lot more
to
money
answer his question
than
with the audio
$6,000.
clip,
I have
the audio
email
clip
evidence, Your
proves
Honor.
that I'm not embarrassed.
You're watching Mathis Court with Judge Mathis. This is Mathis Court with Judge Mathis.
Mathis Court is back with the case of Miles Whitaker, who is suing Danielle Cruz for breach of contract.
I wasn't always necessarily treated respectfully, even if it was a really high-paying package deal. But you're asking about if there were certain things that would lead to specific blackouts?
Yes.
I mean, alcohol was almost always a part of the night.
So when you would black out, most of the time it'd be alcohol related, not heavy drugs.
Your Honor, the name of the book is Downward Dog, From the Streets to the Yoga Mat. And I'm being accused of being salacious.
What is that to tell me, man? What were you trying to disprove?
Yes, so the downward dog is a yoga pose.
No. What I just heard. You said it
yes.
would disprove what he said. What did it disprove?
Well, I mean, it is a small clip, but it just speaks to, he's asking questions and I'm answering, but we're not necessarily hearing each other.
You said it would disprove something. What will it disprove?
Yes,
you said if you play this, it'll disprove what he said.
Absolutely.
Tell me what.
So he was saying before we played that I was embarrassed to tell my story. I would like to reject that and assert that no, I'm actually quite courageous to tell this story.
Yeah.
And I understand you're the ghostwriter, so I'm not taking credit for the fact that you're writing it, but I am narrating it to you, and so that's my job to orate it to you, and your job is to absorb it and then get it
I know
down.
what my job is. I've done this many
Right.
times
Well,
for a lot more
to
money
answer his
than
question with the audio
$6,000.
clip,
I have
the audio
email
clip
evidence, Your
proves
Honor.
that I'm not embarrassed. I was opening myself up, answering the questions truthfully, and I was going to.
You have evidence that you did get cold feet?
Yes, Your Honor.
What evidence do you have?
I have email evidence that shows the progression. So in November of 2025, enthusiasm. January 2026, new boyfriend, the change of tone, Your Honor.
How will Judge Mathis rule? Find out when Mathis Court returns.
You're watching Mathis Court with Judge Mathis. This is Mathis Court with Judge Mathis. Let's see what you have.
Sir.
The emails.
Sorry.
The emails indicating that she had
The change of tone,
was
Your Honor.
getting cold
Yes,
feet.
sir.
Hope you're having a good week. Hi, Danny. I finished heavy lifting the chapters covering your early years. I think you're right. It would be nice for people to understand why I'm changing my life now. There you go. That's what you suggested. That's what I say. I think the way you're shaping the narrative is what I was hoping for when I hired you. Keep going in that direction.
Yes, sir.
Later. I want to follow up. Hi, Danny. I want to follow up. Last week, with changes you requested, I toned down several sections involving the relationship with Marcus, removed some of the language from the club years that you felt was too extreme, and I adjusted the recovery chapter. And let me see your response. I need the newest version. I'm still not comfortable with where this is going. You indeed got cold feet, ma'am. So much so that you just said you didn't know. You played me a 2-minute video to prove that you never got cold feet. And sure enough, that's exactly what you did. In fact, you chastised the man. I don't know where I want to go there. You told him to change about whether you went to the club. Change my club years. Change this year. Change that. I don't know if I want everybody to know that. Judgment for the plaintiff. Have a good day.
All rise.
Judge Mathis has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $5,000.
Thank you for wasting my time, and I hope you get to tell your story.
Thank you for failing so I can find someone better who's going to make the book that's going to do my story justice and help people someday.
This has been a production of Allen Media Group.